All right, hello everybody. Welcome to January's NPU-Y meeting. I hope everybody had a great Martin Luther King Day and celebrated and enjoyed their day. I am the NPU chair, so I do have an open door policy. So if anybody needs to reach out to our executive board or myself about anything that concerns our neighborhoods, please reach out to secretarynpuy@gmail.com. In the chat, I'm going to drop the general body meeting handouts and material link. This goes to our Google Drive, which holds all of the pertinent information that is for this specific meeting. A few housekeeping. Please stay muted. If you would like to speak, use the raise hand reaction is in the reaction section at the bottom of your screen. If you want to be called to the floor, this is how you will do so. If you speak out of turn, you will be muted as it is a violation of Robert's Rules of Order. So on your phone to raise your hand, it's *9, and to mute and unmute is *6. I also ask that you use the reactions for nonverbal remarks. This will keep our meeting moving in a timely manner. If you are a city department representative, city official, or their representative, please leave your information in the chat. You'll be called on to speak in the order that it's shown in the comments. Our meeting minutes are held on npuy.org. They're also in our Google Drive, which I am dropping in the chat as well. I'm going to share them on the screen so that we can approve the minutes. On the right, if everybody can see that okay, on the right is our last month minutes. Again, you can find those on the Google Drive if you want to look through them a little more closely. And I motion to approve minutes. May I have a second?
Gloria, second.
I'm going to do a unanimous. So if you do not approve of the minutes, please raise your hand at this time. As I see none, motion approved. On the left-hand side of the screen, you have the agenda. I motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
So moved. Gloria, second.
Again, unanimous consent. So if you do not approve the agenda, please raise your hand at this time. As I see none, the agenda is approved. And let me just share the single screen here for you. My apologies, there was an amendment on there, and I know that it was on the agenda that we had just approved, but it does show that it's marked off. So as we move through it, it is marked off the agenda, and that is our quick pick market for an LRB. So for our reports from city departments, we will call on our city departments. Please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less. If you have questions for the city department representatives, if it does not pertain to the body, please leave them in the chat, or for representatives to later contact you directly. If there are any questions in the chat that were not answered during our meeting, we will forward those to those representatives. In the first representative is going to be our public safety. So I have Captain Justin Pedrazzi. My apologies if I said that incorrectly. He's with our Atlanta Fire Rescue.
Nope, that's correct. I'm Captain Pedrazzi. I'm assigned to Station 14, and I'm filling in, doing some Battalion 1 training tonight. So I've got a couple of NPU talking points from the fire department. The fire department's currently building 2 new stations, station number 36, and the estimated completion date is sometime at the end of the year in 2023. They'll also be building Station 37, which is the EMS focus station. That's located in Southwest Atlanta on the end of Campbellton Road. And they're looking for that to open early in 2023. As we do yearly, we're supporting the warming centers. We've already had those open during a few of the inclement times. The warming center is located at the old Adamsville Rec Center at 3404 Delmar Lane in Atlanta. There's been transportation from the Gateway Center at 275 Prior. The fire department's continuing to support the Child Safety Seat initiative. The fitting stations are the same that they've been for about the last year. You've got Station 2, Station 5, Station 9, Station 10, 13, 15, 16, 18, 23, 25, and 26 that are supporting that initiative. We also are still supporting the smoke alarm program, where we're giving free smoke alarms and CO alarms to residents, and you can contact your local station for information on how to obtain those. Those are the talking points from the fire department. And all my information's in the chat if anyone needs it.
Thank you. And you
You're
said you
welcome.
had other talking points for police? Nope. Okay, so moving to Officer Lawrence, Department of Public Works.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Sorry. Happy New Year. I just have a couple of things to give out tonight. One being the delay from the King holiday. So instead of most of the collection being on Thursday, it'll be on Friday. And if you're on the schedule for Friday, it'll be on Saturday. Again, I just wanted to put out a couple of things because I know we've had a couple of issues in this NPU about Herbie's being out. Herbie's containers, I know everyone call them different things. Again, they cannot be out until your scheduled collection day. They can be out the day before by 7 p.m. and they have to be removed the following day before 9 a.m. It seems minor, but it is a violation. I like to educate first, give notice to the residents and the owners. It's just a slow process with that. But if those properties do not come in compliance, a citation can be issued. So please you all take it serious as you would any other code violation. They cannot be at the curb. Other than that, if you all have any concerns as it relates to illegal dumping, you need your neighbors to be educated on anything it relates to recycling, garbage, how they properly dispose of those items or anything like that. Please go through 311 and submit a case. I'm only asking that you all do it that way to ensure that we get someone out as quick as possible. My email may be overflowed, so I just want to make sure that we get someone out in a timely manner. So I'm asking that you all go through 311. If it's something that has been submitted but not addressed in a timely manner, then please feel free to email me regarding that. But other than that, please start with 311 so we can have it in the system. Other than that, I don't have anything else. If anyone has any issues or concerns for me, again, I put my contact information in the chat, but I'll also stand by.
Okay, thank you. I have Major Riker with Atlanta Police Zone 3.
Good evening, everybody. Just to go through the crime real quick. So for the previous month, we had 1 homicide compared to 0 in November. That was over at 407 Ashwood. We had 1 aggravated assault compared to 5 in November. However, it appears that that information is probably end up being false. We had 2 robberies compared to 4 in November. We had 3 burglaries compared to 2 in November. We had a very bad month in auto thefts. We had 22 compared to 8 in November. We had 13 larceny from autos compared to 6 in November. We had 10 larceny non-autos compared to 13 in November. Overall, 52 compared to 30. I want to highlight some stuff on the auto thefts. So we've spoken about it several times. Lakewood, Kias and Hyundai are very easy for folks to steal. And we have had I mean, it's crazy the amount of those that are getting stolen lately. But just to give you an idea, out of those 22 that were stolen, 16 of them were either Kias or Hyundais. And then to further break this down, Villages at Carver is one of the main locations that we're seeing thefts. So we had 13 stolen vehicles, 10 of those. So 10 out of those 13 were either Kia or Hyundais. There is no quick fix for this. The only quick fix is for people to have a club for those that own those vehicles. To just give you a short idea, they rip off the steering column and they're basically cranking up the car with a USB from a phone. So it's very quick, very easy. And it is something that juveniles are very much in tune with right now. So we have a horrible time dealing with that. Highlight a couple arrests of late. So Leroy Bell was arrested for stealing multiple items in and around Lakewood and Lithia, Meter Avenue. He was picked up on December 17th. He's still in jail currently. And then just the other day, we had a burglary at the Family Dollar at 1723 Lakewood. We've actually had two in the past 2 weeks. The second time when we arrived, we caught a male coming out the back who had a shopping bag full of items, and he is still presently in jail as well for burglary. Those are just a couple highlights. I'm available for any questions anybody might have.
Madam Chair, did you want me to chime in and do the public safety at the same time?
Yes, since they go hand in hand, please do the public safety before this one.
Hey, Major Rickard, thanks for everything that you do. Could you kind of embellish on what you had been communicating to the Oak Knoll Ghoul area? There's been some incidents, and I think a number of those individuals would like to hear from you personally, I guess.
Sure. So we know we have a constant battle with narcotics in and around that area. My team has been able to make a significant amount of arrests on Jonesboro Road, specifically up near the 1660 block of Jonesboro Road. There was an incident recently where a house was hit with gunfire. That's being investigated by our criminal investigation division. But all I'll say on that is it was not, but the specific location was targeted in reference to that. But we continue to have people out in the area. I know there's been a lot of chiming in about cameras and where they can be or if they're coming. I know our council person's been working on that. And all I'll say is I was able to submit my own requests for all of Zone 3, not just that area. So I'm hopeful that one or two locations will receive cameras through the Atlanta Police Foundation.
Could you also speak on a couple of the initiatives, like the officers with the cars home and the biking? Would you give folks a little insight into what the initiatives are and how they will affect us?
So just the other day, 4 officers in Zone 3 received take-home cars. If you weren't aware, we've been challenged with our vehicle situation for quite some time, not just in my zone, but across the city. They've been able to buy a significant amount of cars and they're just starting to show up. So we're hopeful as we get more, we can deploy people in a better way than we've had of late. As far as the bicycle patrol, so there was a joint venture with Georgia State University and Atlanta Police Department, specifically Zone 3, in and around the Georgia State Stadium. That's where we started the bike patrol with them. So basically there's 2 over there of GSU and 2 from APD. On Saturdays, I've been able to pull those 2 officers on occasion and move them over into the Lakewood area. My goal for 2023 is to have enough officers in that Lakewood Jonesboro space. And hopefully we can see that sooner rather than later. But that's an initiative that I'm looking forward to. They're able to cover a lot of ground. They're relatively quiet. And I think that's a way that they can interact better with the community.
Thank you, Major Rickard. Madam Chair, may I ask that Heather download into the chat a copy of the Citizens Police Academy. And thank you for sending me that application. Anything you can say to the community that would encourage them to take the class?
No, I think it's a great way for people to understand what the day in and day out is for the Atlanta Police Department. There's a lot to learn. You interact with a lot of different parts of the police department. And then, in addition to that, I suggest to anybody that wants to do a ride along, please, let me know and we can work on that as well.
Very good. Thank you. And Heather, if you will, should I send you another copy of it, the Citizens Police Academy application?
You're welcome to, Gloria, or you can upload it yourself in the chat. Would probably be the fastest way to do that.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. Thanks. Thanks very much. And could you, just one last thing, the homicide over on Ashwood, were those individuals known to each other?
It appeared they are, but I don't want to give up too much information on that. I tend to
Yes.
let the detectives do the work on that side. I would just say that if anybody has any information that they haven't shared, please reach out to Crime Stoppers or call our homicide detectives directly.
Thank you so much, Major Riker. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Everybody have a great night.
Thank you.
Next, I have Gerard Jackson with Parks and Recreation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone having a wonderful Tuesday. I wanted to bring a few notes. The first notes are new center hours of operation is 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that's for every class 1 and class 2 sites. For class 3 and 4, they normally open a little later. Some open at 8, some open all the way until 8 p.m. Please check your local rec centers for their current hours of operations. But those 10 to 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. is for South Bend and Ferguson. I also want everybody to know that the senior program has started at Ferguson Park. They're having monthly meetings, and the meetings every third Wednesday of the month. We're currently looking at starting senior activities every Tuesday and Thursday. Once that's set in stone and we have what activities will be available, I will present that at the NPU. I want to let everybody know that currently we do have warming shelters open. Anytime that the temperature reaches below freezing, we normally open up our warming shelter, like was said earlier about our old Adamsville. But if that particular area is full, we are known to open up multiple centers to accommodate the need. So if you know anybody that's currently homeless, anybody that needs help current these cold days, please reach out to 311 and they'll be able to designate what area they will go or where they can meet to get assistance getting transportation there. Also want everybody to know we are having Camp Best Friend today at this year at South Bend at Ferguson. At South Bend, there will be a art and golf focus. And at Ferguson, there will be a sports focus. I also want everybody to know that we're currently working on work orders. I'm glad to know that we have fixed multiple lights throughout the park. So when you go in from our Lakewood entrance to the back, all those lights are currently working. We're still working on getting the lights worked on in the back area, but that work order is currently open. I want to also let everybody know that we still have a work order currently open to get the playground equipment replaced that was damaged a long time ago by a fallen tree. I'm working on trying to get that taken care of. I'm also working to try to get cameras installed in the park. We know that the need is there and we know that criminal activity is happening throughout the park. So our safety director is informed and we're looking at trying to get cameras throughout the park. I want to let everybody know if you see any issues that's happening throughout the park that need a work orders that I might not have presented right now, please reach out to me so I can go ahead and get those work orders started so we can get those things fixed. At this time, if there's anything about Parks and Rec, please ask.
Now open the floor for any questions, just raise your hand. If you have other questions for Officer Lawrence as well, please raise your hand there as well. I yield the floor to Kareem, sorry.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Hi, welcome. You have the floor.
So I am currently the owner of 215 Adair that has been an eyesore for some time. And recently I was contacted by code enforcement again. My drawings had been approved in the fall. And at this time, I'm ready to begin construction because I have a partner. I've partnered with my contractor.
Yes, Ms. King. My name is Harold Waters. I'm with Watermark One Group. We are actually partnering with Ms. King, and we we're going to be working on the Adair property. Somebody's coming out Friday to actually board up the property in the meanwhile, while we're waiting on the estimates for everything to go through with that. So you will see our goal is to get the door secured, all of the windows secured, and potentially try to either scrub off or paint over some of the burn marks at the front part of the house, just to make it more attractive. And then our rehab is going to take place in earnest in March.
Okay, is this a matter of, are you asking a question for one of our city representatives or department representatives, or are you trying to make an announcement here of your property?
Well, it's more of an announcement for code enforcement. I know that that property's been an eyesore. We want to let you know that it's underway.
Okay,
And
yeah, so that's more something that has to be direct for our code enforcement. Her contact is ccofield@atlantaga.gov, which is in the chat. If you can direct that to her, that would be appreciated.
Okay, sure can.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions for members that have spoken, I do bring Officer Cofield for code enforcement to the floor. Is Officer Cofield on the call still? I'm not sure if she's on, so we will move on. And if she does come back on, please let me know, Heather or Kelly Jean, please. Are there any other questions for any of our city representatives? Karima, do you still have a question, or is that your hand raised from earlier?
Right, I'm lowering it now. No
Okay.
more questions. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Gloria, I call you to the floor.
Yeah, real quick one for Officer Lawrence. I think last month she said that the curb on Lakewood Terrace, it's just littered, that they were going to jump on that. And I think maybe something has changed. And if that order is still in place. That's Officer Lawrence's question. Officer Lawrence?
I'm sorry, Ms. Goodall, what's the location again?
Lakewood Terrace. Last month you said that it was high on your radar. It was the curve just before it dead ends into Lakewood Avenue. It's a one-way street. And
Oh, yes, I've submitted that request. No, when you spoke to me about it regarding this, I submitted the request for it. That goes to our special operations team. And we send them out to do it. Once I submit it to them, I'm not sure, I can check their timeline now to see when the estimated time is that they'll be getting to it. But that request has been submitted when I spoke to you last. I'm just getting back in the office now. I can check on it tomorrow to see any updates on it.
thank you, Officer. Anything you can do with the brush being back and the winter having, it looks like we're at a dump.
Okay, yes, ma'am, no problem. I will. I know I actually submitted 2 for delittering and the overgrowth right there to be cut, as well as the tires and stuff like that to be removed. So I did submit that, but I'll check on it first thing in the morning.
Thank you much.
No problem.
All right, so as we have no more hands raised for questions for city departments, do we have anybody on for city elected officials?
This Officer Cofield.
Oh, hi, we called you and I don't think we got you at the time. Go ahead and
I'm
have the floor.
sorry.
That's okay. You have the floor.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm actually in class. I'm very sorry. I haven't been here for about 3 months. I'm very glad to be back here with you all. First of all, I want to speak about the overgrowth and the young lady with the Adair property. I haven't been able to address that particular one. I haven't seen anything about it. So if she go ahead and email me, I'll be greatly appreciated to take care of it once I see her email and a case formed on it. I'm getting a lot of cases as well about overgrowth. Like on Rhodesia, I had them in court this morning. And it's just kind of getting out of hand with a lot of overgrowth. You can very well, you can do it through 311, but if you want to, you're very welcome to call me at any time, and I will actually put the case in myself, or you can put the case in yourself at 311. That's about it. I have a lot of just overgrowth cases right now. I'm kind of overloaded since I'm just getting back from 3 months. But that's more than what I wanted to say about the cases. I don't think you all received a 3-month report. I will actually put that in the chat once I get the 3-month report from the people in my office, my Officer Tally. I will have to get that report from her about the different cases that you all had as far as up until this date. But anything else from me? Anything you want to say to me? I'm here.
Thank you. And please feel free to email that to the secretary npui@gmail.com email. And
Yes, ma'am. I saw it. Yes, ma'am. I sure will.
fantastic. Do we have any questions for code enforcement? All right, as I see none, we'll move on to our city elected officials. Thank you, Officer Cofield. I appreciate it.
All right, then. I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
You too. Have a great night.
Thank you.
I do see that Cheryl Bennett was on.
Hey guys, can you hear? Yep, can you hear me? I'm here.
We can hear you. Thank you for being
Happy
here.
New Year, everyone. And congratulations, Nicole. It's happy to have you. I don't have a real full big report for you this month. I'm listening to the reports that I've gotten. We're hearing from APD and code compliance and solid waste, which is a lot of like the things that you all contact me about. So you're hearing those answers. So it'd be kind of redundant for me to tell you what they just told you. But I do want to let you know that the council member is putting together a meet and greet for all the leaders in the district to come together sometimes over the next, we're trying to put it together sometime around the 1st of February. It's looking like we've had a lot of other things come up between now and the end of the month that aren't letting us get it in so quickly, but you will be notified, and it'll be an opportunity for district representatives to get to district leaders from our 4 MPUs. Actually, we have 5 MPUs and our neighborhood association presidents, vice presidents. We kind of let the leadership decide who they'd like to have accompany them. So like for the MPU chair, if you want to, have like maybe your public safety chair or land use and zoning chair come because that you have questions or want to interact with other people in the district that do the same kind of things. We find that if we just kind of talk to each other, there's a lot of things that we have in common, and we kind of learn from each other how to tackle some of the issues as communities we are. So we want to provide an opportunity that's not, this particular one won't be so structured. It'll be more informal, more of a meet and greet, and an opportunity for us to just get to know each other. Tell, say to each other what's going on in your neck of the woods and so on. So look for my email or invitation to do this. As soon as we nail down the place, we'll be happy to feed you. It will be somewhere in the middle of the district. So that is the number one thing that I wanted to share with you all tonight. Anybody got questions for me?
I see no hands, so
Crickets.
we're all set. Thank you so much for coming to our meeting. We appreciate it and we love seeing you on here. Actually, I see Jacob.
Oh, wait a minute. Jacob has his hand up.
Yes,
I
Jacob, you have the
just wanted
floor.
to I just wanted to say, I'm so glad that you're doing this. This is a great idea, and I look forward to seeing you guys. This is a great idea. So thank you for taking time to listen to the neighborhoods. You're always an amazing, and I just want to point that out. Thank you so much for all your service.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to doing it. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. And thank you, Jacob, for voicing what we all think. All right, we are going to move on to our committee reports. I please ask you to keep to a 2-minute report so that way we can move through this on a timely manner. I'm also going to ask that everybody holds their comments and questions until after we go through all of our committees. So first up is Jacob and Bob with zoning and land use and code enforcement.
Jacob, please chime in here, since most of the activity that's happening is happening in Chosewood. But I think everyone realizes there is a great deal of activity happening throughout the NPU. There's a lot of conversation going on in Lakewood right now around the kinds of development that Lakewood wants to have. There's a lot of conversation going on in Chosewood, equally the same in terms of the kind of developments that Chosewood has. The implications of some of the zoning changes that have been put into effect also are a concern to folks. So needless to say, zoning is still a hot topic. And there are a couple of things that will be coming to the NPU over the next couple of meetings for discussion as well. Jacob, you want to add anything?
Honestly, Bob, there is a lot, and with the restrictions for the time tonight, I would say that I would people to come to our it is an open forum, our zoning committee meetings. It is a good place for people to get more educated on each individual site and to hear the responses that are coming from the neighborhood regarding each property. There are a few properties specifically in Chosewood, and we also have one in Lakewood. I believe it is on, correct me if I'm wrong, if that is at 556 McDonough. Is that their correct address for the Lakewood? Madam Chair?
It is South Atlanta, and I believe 566 is correct.
566. Okay. The response that we got back from that particular developer was that they were continuing to move forward, even with the reservations from the neighborhood and from the surrounding neighbors. And that seems to be the case that we are continuing to see, from the developer side. Specifically, we had one in Chosewood Park that came up on Inglewood. It's the new Upton development. It is a for rental apartment complex, no commercial, directly on the BeltLine. The developer was able to not have to come to the NPU or the neighborhood association for any kind of votes of support or approval. And it does make it tough for recommendations to be put forth and have them follow through. So the louder voice we can get, the more we can get, possibly have these conversations with developers is the way that we want to be able to move forward. So attendance is something we want to see more of. So are we able to list that or put that information into the chat, Madam Chair, for our next zoning committee meeting?
Yes, please do if you're able to. These zoning meetings are held on the last Wednesday of the month. That is to not interfere with our executive board meetings. They are held through Zoom. You can find that information on our website, npuy.org. It is on the calendar. You're also able to link with the calendar, so it actually automatically downloads to your personal calendar as well.
I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And that would conclude me for the zoning committee.
I appreciate it. And as I said, we are going to hold all of our comments and questions until after the rest of our meetings, but please raise your hand. They just will not be called on until after. Next up is Transportation and Public Works. Is Jeff Depp on? I do not see him on. I would like to note that I have seen progress on the bridge. It is mostly paved. So the last update that I received from Jeff was that I know that we were hoping for a January opening, but it looks like it still is going to be pushed till February. So the hopes are that they are almost complete with it. Do we have any additional comment or any additional remarks for our public safety, Gloria?
Oh, no, I think pretty much summed it up. Just trying to get a copy of that application into the chat. I could not find it. So Heather, if you are able to locate it, but otherwise we'll send it out later, maybe on the NPU site.
Sounds great. Next is our Parks, Beltline and Environment, which is Rebecca Robinson. Is she on the call, Rebecca? I do not see her. So moving on to Education, Monique Nunley.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I am leaving the YMCA right now. Our education committee meeting that we just had last week, we discussed primarily the, we talked about the new, I'm sorry, we talked about the new appointed board member for the city of, for Atlanta Public Schools, Jessica Johnson. And so that is somebody you can reach out to as a board member at large. Hold on, Free, sorry. And we also discussed at large some of the challenges that we were discussing as a collective community around the Lakewood Elementary School and wanting to be more a part of those discussions around what happens next, that it has been determined surplus property, and how can we come and build consensus, at the very least, work with Atlanta Public Schools to ensure there is equitable discussion and that everyone has a voice at that conversation and it isn't chosen for us what will happen at that site. And so just wanting us to have some level of uniform voice around that. And I did not get a chance to reach out to Tapestry Charter School, who wanted to come back for a letter of support. So I will reach out to her and see if she still wants to come back for that vote for a letter of support. I don't want to speak on their behalf, so I will defer until the February meeting and share what our committee talked about with offering that letter of support once I can confirm if they can join us in February. I think that's all for now. Our big steps right now is our legislative agenda as an education committee, and we're still working on getting school tours at our local schools. And I've heard from the principal at Slater Elementary School that they're working on logistics. So we might get some school tours for families who have children, so we can get more robust engagement at our local schools. So that would be really, really exciting. If we're able to get some local school tours from our NPU-Y schools, which is Price Middle School, Slater Elementary, and Carver STEAM and Early College. Thank you.
Thank you, Monique. I appreciate it. Our communications chair, Kelly Jean, is there anything to report?
No updates.
Thank you. Bylaws, I actually spoke to Russell earlier. I'm not sure if he is on. Are you on, what, Russell?
I am, and my video was being funny. There were no individuals who wanted to be a part of the bylaws committee, so we are just going to adopt the proposed changes to the bylaws as is, and we could just do it as a slate because there was no further discussion on the matter.
Thank you, Russell. So we actually voted on the adopted bylaws a few months ago. So the new bylaws are taking place January. They can be found on the npuy.org website. So please take a look over those changes so that way you are fully aware of as how we manage our NPU. Thank you, Russell. We have Lakewood Oversight. Do I have anybody for Lakewood Oversight?
Yes, Yolanda Cameron here for Lakewood Oversight. Happy New Year's, everyone, and welcome new board. Nothing new to report. The concert series will start probably May-ish. And so we've been on hiatus for the holidays. So we're looking forward to meeting in February.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Moving on to Lakewood Finance. I yield the floor to anybody on Lakewood Finance.
Hey, good evening, this is Jimmy. We will have our next meeting on next Wednesday. I believe it's the third Wednesday of the month. Actually, it should be maybe this Wednesday coming up. So we'll have our next meeting. So I have a report for you guys on the applications that we receive and the outcome of those applications for next month's meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. Moving on to APAB.
Oh, APAB, the big highlighting event is the Neighborhood Matters Award. We're expecting that to take place in March, but we've got $4,000 to spend on it. So we're looking for the most fabulous trophies. It's all money that accumulated during the pandemic period. Again, the thrust of the award is recognizing someone within NPU who has given selfless service, who has moved the NPU forward to the extent that everybody sees the growth and the change and the addition of many new members. So that is essentially what we're looking for. And we're taking, again, APAB will be accepting those nominations right through February.
Thank you so much. And I believe that we will be voting on a nominee today as well. I do know that the APAB meeting has been moved to
strictly for the month of January, because there's a meet with the mayor on the 21st. It's normally, APAB normally meets the third Saturday of the month. It's face-to-face meeting downtown in City Hall chambers. However, this month there is a 5-hour meet with Mayor Dickens, and as such, the regular 3-hour meeting is being moved to the 28th, which is Saturday the 28th between 10 and 1 in the afternoon. Again, it's face-to-face, which is a little bit encumbering for many, but under the new base order and the mayor's executive order, all the base organizations were required to come back and meet face-to-face.
All right, thank you so much. Moving on to ad hoc for special projects, which I am currently still slated on it for the 2022 closeout, which we did close out our grant. We were able to complete all of our projects as well as submit our closeout in a timely order, and have gotten approval from the committees that it seems that we will be able to apply for 2023. Our 2023 application deadline is February 28th. We will be nominating somebody during this meeting for that position as we move through our agenda. All right, so moving on. Do we have any questions for any of our committee? You may raise your hand at this time. No questions for our committees. All right, so we are going to move on to our voting matters. As I stated in the beginning, we did have an amendment to the agenda, which was to remove the Quick Pick Food Mart. They are no longer working on the current application that is slated. They will be working with their original application. That original application is the one that was denied in September of 2022 by the NPU-Y, and so that will be moving forward to the LRB as a denial. Next up is GoPuff, and that is at 1383 Blashfield Street. You may have the floor.
Hi, this is Mindy Thompson with Sard and Luff Attorneys. We represent GoPuff regarding their alcohol licenses, and I have on the call Andrew Wilson. Andrew is the new agent, and that's what this application is for, is to change the agent on the alcohol license. Andrew has been the manager here at this location for quite some time, and now he'll be the agent. He'll be on site 40 to 60 hours per week. As you may recall, GoPuff came through the NPU last year for their new alcohol license. It was issued and approved in June, and they just implemented alcohol sales in November. There haven't been any issues at the location since the issuance of the alcohol license. We did meet with South Atlanta Civic League, and we're here to answer any of the questions you guys may have for us.
I open the floor to, this application is in South Atlanta. Do I have anybody from South Atlanta representing?
Can you hear me, Nicole?
Yes, we can. You have the floor.
Devon Dixon, co-president of South Atlanta Civic League. We support this. It's more of a formality than anything. We previously approved their alcohol license with the caveat that there is no distribution on site. They're a distributor more than anything, so there's no loitering or riffraff associated with their liquor license. So we had no issues approving it, and they've been a great partner thus far.
Thank you so much. So I open the floor for a motion or discussion.
Chris McCoy, motion. Motion to approve. Troy 92nd.
So the motion is to approve.
Correct.
Jacob, you have your hands raised.
Just one question. Is this location off of, is that Harriet Street? Is that what it is?
The address is Blatchfield, but it is the cross streets Harriet.
Okay. The only reason I ask is, and I know that the bridge has been something that has been an issue for you guys. And that was the only thing that I ever heard about was complaints about the traffic. But I know that that will be resolved as soon as the bridge is opened up, which it hopefully is very soon. So that was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you. Gloria, you have the floor.
Yeah, I was really piggybacking on Jacob to kind of ask if in fact there was a little bit of noise the last time around that folks were saying was a lot of traffic and that the bridge should be open shortly. So has that been resolved at all? Are folks a little more less anxious about the traffic? I think some folks on Bluefield, Blatchfield. What's the name of the street again?
Blatchfield.
Blatchfield.
Yeah. Has that been resolved to some extent, Mindy?
To my knowledge, there hasn't been any issues since there were issues last year. I mean, a lot of things were brought up and those were addressed by GoPuff. And to my knowledge, there haven't been any issues since that was initially brought up, and it wasn't mentioned when we met with South Atlanta. So my assumption is that it's not an issue now. I mean, GoPuff took steps to make sure that the drivers there are not being loud, and they're not having their radios turned up. I mean, that would be a terminable offense if they keep getting complaints about a specific driver not following their rules.
Oh yeah, the bridge will be a welcome relief for all of us, not just them, but for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Devon, you have the floor.
So to address some of these concerns that have been brought up back in June when the application was originally approved, we addressed all of these concerns. We had a public meeting with GoPuff as well as residents that live on that side of Lakewood, so the Harriet Blatchfield Street area. We provided a direct line of contact with GoPuff. Andrew, who is the general manager, not sure if he's on the call right now, has answered any questions, addressed any concerns. If we see any vehicles, if we take a tag down, it'll be addressed immediately. I think from June to now, I've only had one complaint make it to me about noise volume or speeding in that area. So they've done everything we've asked of them.
All right, thank you, Devon. Okay, so I close the floor for discussion. We will go ahead and vote. I don't have a poll for today, so we are going to do raised hands. So if you, the motion is to approve. Oh, we have multiple hands raised. Bob Morris, you have the floor. Nope.
Sorry, I thought we were voting, so I was a little bit jumping the gun, sorry.
Okay. So if you are voting to approve the application, as the motion is to approve the LRB application, you may raise your hand at this time.
Nicole, will you remind everyone of the voting rules, please?
Yes, I can. So voting rules are: to be a voting member, you must have attended 3 meetings in the last 12 months. If you are a resident, you may vote. And if you are a business representative, you may have 1 representative of your business. All right, I'll give 20 more seconds or 10 more seconds, sorry, to close the vote. All right, I close the vote. I have 17 votes for yes. It has now dropped down. Did you have 17, Heather? Heather?
Nicole, I have 18 with me counting.
Thank you. My computer's acting up. So 18 yes. And let's clear these votes. If you vote no to approve the application, please raise your hand at this time.
Nicole, if you made me a host, I could also see that ongoing tally.
Happy to. I think my computer's acting up right now. All right, I'm closing the vote in 5 seconds. Okay, vote is closed. I have 1 no. Clearing the feedback. If you are voting to abstain from the vote, please raise your hand at this time.
We had one additional yes vote in the chat. Jimmy Moore for 19.
And closing the abstention vote in 5 seconds. All right, the vote is closed at 0 abstentions. So I have 19 yes, 1 no, and 0 abstentions. The yeas have it, so the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. The next on our agenda is the Lakewood Food Mart. This is at 1683 Lakewood. This is an LRB application as well. You have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Terry Bailey. I'm attorney for the applicant. I'm joined here today by Kairaba Toure, who is the agent. I'm also joined by one of the owners of the property, the owner of the property, Jay Varani. Him and his brother own the corporation, owns the property. But we're here today about a change of ownership for the gas station at 1683 Lakewood Avenue. And if you guys are familiar with that it used to be a Chevron. It's been in the community for a long time, but they made drastic improvements from new canopies, new lighting, and things of that nature. They took over a few months ago, and we met with the Lakewood Lakewood Association. We received their recommendation of approval, and I believe the one condition was integration of the camera systems. So what we've done is we just recently registered with Connect Atlanta. We're just waiting to receive I think it's a core light device that we need to receive in order to fully integrate it. So, as mentioned, I want to just quickly turn it over to, I believe Jay wanted to talk to you guys as well, the property owner. So just for a little background too, this is a Welcome Food Mart. So you've seen a few of these across the city, and Mr. Toure is the agent for 2 locations, 1850 Metropolitan Parkway and 1117 Lee Street. And then there's some more, like there's one on Moore's Mill as well. So a lot of these newer, they usually take over older gas stations and put a facelift on the outside and inside of them. And I'll let Mr. Variety tell you a little bit more about himself and the business.
Hello, my name is Jay Birani. I'm the owner of the property located at, one second, sorry. Go away. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm doing this on the phone. So I'm the property owner located at 1683 Lakewood Avenue, which used to be an older Chevron gas station. We have acquired the property and done a lot of renovations to the building, including brand new pumps, rebranded the station to an Amoco, completely redid the outside of the building. We've installed multiple LED floodlights on the canopy, on the building itself, LED lights under the canopy, added 42 remote access cameras. We also have contracts with outside surveillance companies which monitor the location 24 hours a day. To give you a background on the company, we own over 35 of these throughout Metro Atlanta and been in the business for about over 23 years. And as Mr. Terry mentioned, this is this is what we've been doing, that we acquire properties like these which are in a good location, but which have been managed, and which have been really run down. We come in and give them a facelift and put it in our chain of operations. And then, we went to the Lakewood neighborhood meeting, and we passed through that with a 19-0 vote, because people that have been living there for over 20 years have not stopped at this gas station, and we're getting them every day coming in telling us that how happy they are with the renovations and stuff, because they never used to stop at this place, and how they're happy with everything that we've done so far.
Thank you, Jay. I would like to ask for Lakewood Heights to let us know of the community's.
Yeah, I can speak to that, Nicole. So the community did vote to approve it, and I can attest to everything Jay just said. It was with one additional sort of request, which was that you would share your contact information from both the GM and yourself with the community, so you can reach out if there is anything that pops up. But that was it from our side, and we voted to proceed.
Okay. Gloria, you have the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. The only condition, and I think he mentioned it, but I think it has to be stressed, there's a distinction. Terry, are you there? The distinction is we're expecting integration and not just a registration. We're expecting officers be able to access it real time. Is that what you all are planning?
That's what we're doing. Yeah. So this is the first time I've actually done it, because when we talk about it, my clients do it. But actually, when you go on there first, you register. So that's the bare minimum. But going to be able to integrate it, you have to pay for this. I don't know how expensive it is. I mean, some of the cheaper ones are like $400, but with more cameras, it's over $1,000. But you have to buy this device. So we're waiting for them to ship the device to us. It's a Core Elite device, so it's so they can integrate real time. So that's what we're planning to do. Yeah.
But we've already registered for that. We've already started the process.
And we ordered the device so they can integrate it. So.
All right. Thank you. So I'll open the floor to discussion. I have Russell Hobson.
Move to vote to approve per Lakewood Community Organization's approval.
One last question on the discussion issue. May I, Madam Chair?
Yes.
How long have you had ownership or possession of this location?
I would say over 3 months, close to 4 months now.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Second Russell's motion.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve the application. I do not have any contingencies on this approval.
I think Russell mentioned approved based on Lakewood's findings. So the two contingencies that that were mentioned.
So it is motion to approve upon the contingencies through Lakewood's meeting.
Thank you for the clarification, Troy.
No problem.
Thank you. I will open the floor for discussions. Jacob Mills.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that I pass by that location quite a bit, and it is nice to see a property that has had a renovation in a location in Lakewood that I know people are very concerned about the future and the way that this direction goes. And it's nice to see that there was a unanimous vote from Lakewood. I do think it's kind of comical. I just have to say this. We're asking for an LRB vote. And we have beer in the screen. I thought that was funny. I had to add that in there. But I do want to make it a point that if the neighborhood does support this, this is a good thing, and it is nice. And I will stop in the store. It's been years since I've stopped at that store, and I did notice the locations and the additions and the new signs and cleaning up the exterior of the building. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you, Jacob. Devon Dixon, you have the floor.
I've just got a couple of questions for clarification. Does the location, I've seen additional lighting, love that. But does the location have on-site security? And then second question, does anyone happen to know if that 3-month period falls within the same timeline that there were massive arrests in the Lakewood area? The YSL suite, was that within the past 3 months, or have all of the people causing problem in that area been locked up for the past 3 months and now it's more of a causation?
Terry, do you have any response to these? Terry or Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure when the sweep was, but you know, since we've been in the business, like I said, we've been doing this for 23 years, and over with the experience that every time you do these kind of renovations, clean up the place. I mean, at the last meeting we presented, we've got signs all over the place. Our employees are trained to call the cops and get trespassing warrants. You know, we've got an outside surveillance company that surveys all our properties 24 hours a day. So, you know, the moment all these renovations were done, when these lights are done, we've taken out all the bushes and laid out grass all around the property. So there's clear visibility. If you pass through the road, you're going to be able to see exactly who's standing outside because it's so well lit up. And that normally deters a lot of people automatically from being loitering outside and trying to do anything that they're not supposed to do, you know. And then on top of that, the managers are trained to go outside and get trespassing warrants. You know, every time we buy a location like this, the first 6 months, the cops are called on there 3 times, 5 times a day. So people know we're serious about cleaning this place up, you know. And you know, in the last 2 or 3 months, I mean, any customer that walks in, they'll tell you that the loitering has, if not 100%, it's stopped over 90%.
Devon, does that answer all of your questions? All right.
Not fully, but if he doesn't know when the sweep was, he doesn't know. I can't do anything about that.
I believe Gloria knows when the
Yeah,
last was.
absolutely. I can, Devon. The sweep occurred last March, April. There were 5 defendants that were rounded up out of Lakewood, mass armor and SWAT, et cetera, but that was last April. What is relevant, and the reason I asked the question earlier, on June 6th, both the CM Winston as well as our new interim chief at the time, Cheerbaum, did a sweep on that location, and there was contraband found on the location, both marijuana and Indian. But again, that occurred in June. So that was probably just a month or 2 before you took over. But I think those answer Devon's questions. I think there was rumors that there was an initiative and a sweep of sort, and it did take place, but it took place on June 6th. So,
Thank you, Gloria.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Gloria, for that?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, I think the only question I had was when did they occupy, which would again relate to the suite, but
3 months, yeah.
And I just want to add that the rental closed down restaurant on the spot has also been leased out, and we're currently working with the tenant to clean up and bring the restaurant up to our property standards before they open. So even the shutdown also going to be open. So that's going to even you know, help with you know, if there's any loitering on the side, on the other side and stuff too. Like, so that's closed down spot is also not going to be closed down.
All right, thank you so much. Troy, you have the floor.
Yeah, I wanted to corroborate with Gloria. It was June 6th, so it was before them actually acquiring the location. But I did, one thing I wanted to applaud you all on, I did get gas there, I would say a week and a half ago. And I was bold enough to take my wife and daughter with me, because usually I won't do that at that location. And I was really impressed with, I was really impressed with the location and you all keeping it lit. And also there was a manager that was sitting outside preventing loitering, which I was happy to see. So if you all would continue to keep that up, where you are, you know, make sure the loitering is down, because that's where a lot of times that's where the crime starts to occur when they have a lot of loitering in front of the location. So I appreciate you all taking that initiative. And I do concur that it was low. It wasn't many people loitering. It was just one guy that came up, one homeless guy that came up to me and asked for, that was just passing by. So I appreciate you all making that facelift.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. As there are no more hands raised, we will go ahead and start our vote. The motion that carries is the motion to approve the application with contingencies through Lakewood, which part of the contingency was to integrate into the VIC program. I'm hoping these are all hands to vote. So the motion to approve, please raise your hand.
Madam Chair, a rolling total of 19 in favor.
I will give it 5 more
21.
seconds to close. And I close the vote. I have 21. Is that correct?
That's right. That's exactly what I see.
Okay. And let me clear those votes for you. In a motion, sorry, to vote no on the applicant, to deny the applicant, please raise your hand. I will give 5 more seconds. The vote is closed. I have 4 no votes.
Confirmed.
And if you abstain, please raise your hand. And Samantha, I do see your question. There was a motion and seconded. It was motioned by Russell and seconded by Troy. I will give 5 more seconds. All right, vote is closed, so there's 1 abstention. So the motion carries to approve at 21 yeses, 4 nos, and 1 abstention. Thank you for coming and presenting.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, so next on our agenda, we do not have any old business or new business, so we are moving on to our announcements. I do have Adrian that is with Morehouse Schools of Public School of Medicine that would like to make an announcement. You have the floor.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Adrienne Proler. I'm from Morehouse School of Medicine, and I'd like to ask you to please complete a survey. We're finishing up a survey on COVID-19 and testing to get your thoughts. And it's a quick, easy survey. To qualify, you only need to be over 18 years old. You have to live in Georgia. And then here are the other qualifications. You have been diagnosed with diabetes or pre-diabetes, or you're at risk of diabetes. For instance, you're overweight or obese, high blood pressure, or chronic kidney disease. You have a family history of diabetes, or you're living with someone who has diabetes, or you have it, or you're the caretaker of someone with diabetes. So between all of those different categories, I think most of Georgia will qualify. And anyway, I'd really appreciate it. I need to get about 100 more surveys done, and I'd really appreciate it if you take the time to go to that the website that I've dropped in the chat a few times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Russell, I see your hand raised.
I had
Russell,
an announcement, not a question.
okay, give me 1 moment and I'll call you to do an announcement. Our next up, if we have no more questions, I do not see any. We will also make sure to post this on our Facebook page for you. Next up is,
Thank you.
my pleasure, is with APAB, and that is our Neighborhoods Matter Award, which Gloria spoke on briefly. If you can elaborate, and we will announce a nomination, open the floor for nominations.
You're asking for elaboration.
Yes,
I
please.
think it's just a fabulous award. It is given to all 25 NPUs. Each NPU chooses an individual that they think has gone miles and beyond, a stellar a stellar representative who has did it all pro bono. Remember, we're all volunteers. So, and again, that's the hallmark of it. No, I mean, nothing other than everyone essentially agreeing that they're the go-to person for that NPU, essentially, I guess.
So the NPU Executive Board did put a nomination in for Dr. Troy Nunley. I would like to open the floor for any other nominations from the community before we vote. As I see none, we will open a vote to nominate Dr. Troy Nunley for our Neighborhood Matters Award for our NPU-Y. Please raise your hand.
Go Troy.
And I know traditionally I do not vote, but I will be putting my vote in the chat. Five more seconds. All right, the vote has closed. I have 22 plus 1 in the chat, so 23 yes.
Confirm.
If you vote no, please raise your hand. Five more seconds. All right, I close the vote. And if you abstain, please raise the hand. 5 more seconds. All right, so motion passes as 23 yes, 0 no's, 0 abstentions for Troy Nunley to be our nomination for the Neighborhood Matters Award.
Yes, ma'am. It's the only unanimous vote of the night. Thank you.
Yes. Troy, you're more than welcome to speak if you would like.
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate everybody. This is actually a huge honor. I wasn't expecting this. And it just takes a lot it means a lot to me, especially since it's unanimous, to receive this on behalf of the NPU. So I appreciate everybody. We do it together. It's not a thing of just me, it's a thing that we do together as a united whole. And I appreciate everybody for allowing me to take this on. It's a huge honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy, for all that you've done. We've all greatly appreciated it. Okay, moving on to our next announcement. This is just an announcement. I'm going to share my screen back again for you. So this announcement is for the design awards. It is called the Community Design Awards. There's actually 2 portions of this. It is the City of Atlanta's allows striving to improve its buildings, places, and neighborhoods. One way to do that is to recognize the projects, programs, and people who are making that happen. The design awards are an opportunity for the public to nominate a project, place, program, or person that is making Atlanta a better place to live, work, and play. So there is no vote today by the NPU. After the nominations are voted on by the Atlanta Urban Design Commission, the Community Design Awards are voted on by the NPU where the nominated project is located. That should be announced later in spring. I will drop in the chat information on how you can submit your nomination. These nominations are done digitally or in person. And this is for individuals to nominate. I see a hand raised. Troy, you have the floor.
Oh, I had a announcement. So the founder of Iwi Fresh, who has had a business in Lakewood Heights, passed away last week, or I think the 11th of January.
That's correct.
So I wanted to acknowledge her and her work in Lakewood Heights community in the 1800 Jonesboro Road. Also, I think Russell mentioned that Nellie Spring passed away last month. Russell probably can speak more towards it, and Omar can speak towards Yolanda as well. But I did want to acknowledge the work that she has done in our community, especially towards wholesome living. So, yeah.
Thank you. Gloria, you may have the floor.
Yeah, it was backing up from Troy. It's the design award. I think to be able to give the community a little more and to let them know that our prior awardee was out of Lakewood, the Ali Event Center, but to kind of give them a little more of what what examples might be worthy of all of us agreeing to, I guess.
Thank you. And if you have nominations, please drop them in the chat if you would like for us to assist with these nominations. These are for individual communities or individual people to nominate through the link that I dropped in the chat earlier. Omar Ali, you have the floor.
I just wanted to reiterate what Troy had said about Yolanda. Yolanda Niels, the owner of Iwi Fresh, was our first tenant that we brought to the Lakewood area. So she is definitely going to be missed, a huge personality. And so I just want to just let everybody know that.
Thank you. Cheryl Bennett, you have the floor.
I just wanted to comment about Nellie. A lot of people here may not have ever met Nellie or know her, but for me, she was a mentor. Just to give you a little bit of background, she actually worked with Carla as an aide when Carla was an aide. And when I first came on, her and her husband were one of the first couples in South Atlanta that I met. We got to know each other, and I just want to say that a lot of who you become in these type of roles is because of what you see in the role model that others put before you. And she was an excellent role model, explicable, beautiful dresser. She just was sharp to the T all the time. I miss her, but I learned from her, and it was just great to know that we had a Nellie in our neck of the woods. And I just want to pay homage to her and all she did as a neighborhood leader in the NPU for South Atlanta Civic League, all of those things that she participated in, her alongside with her husband, Jay. So she will be greatly missed.
Thank you so much. Russell, you may have the floor.
Yeah, Cheryl knew that I was going to say something similar, I'm certain. Her husband, Jay, was on earlier, but I can imagine maybe, he just couldn't stay on too long. Everything Cheryl said, I don't think a lot of this NPU exists without the work that Nellie did for a long time when the NPU was a little more monochromatic. And that matters when people are willing to put forth voice to the voiceless. And she raised 3, I think maybe even 4 generations in this community, and lived in this community almost the entire time she made sure our park was clean. She made sure our neighborhoods were right. And we have to make sure we acknowledge those who have come before. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you for giving me a moment.
Thank you. Devon.
Sorry about that. Yes, I'm here. Nellie or Jay will be having a celebratory event at Ron Clark Academy on, hold on, I'm trying to pull up the dates.
I think it's the 27th.
27th or 28th. Do you have it pulled up, Russell?
27th.
It's the 27th.
27th. You got the time?
I ain't got that one.
The time is what we're missing. So
I've got it in my notes. I just wasn't expecting it. I believe it's 1 o'clock.
Jay, can you add to that?
Yes, in fact, let me say good evening to everyone and thank everyone for the accolades and comments and compliments that they have given to Nellie and to me. I am truly honored and humbled. The actual date will be January the 28th at 1 o'clock p.m. at the Ron Clark Academy. And it is open to the public. We invite everyone to come and share their thoughts, their concerns, their condolences, and be a part of the celebration of her life. So thank you again for all of the love that has been sent my way and for the love that was sent her way.
Thank you so much for being here. Chris McCord, you have the floor.
And speaking of love, Jay, I know a lot of folks have talked about Nellie's civic duty and her contribute and the way she's contributed. But I just want to say that it was such an honor to watch you and her love on each other as I live on Gammon Street as a Gammonite. And you guys being at the McCord family's wedding, and once again, being such an amazing example of what love looks like. I've learned so much about how to care for my wife by watching the way you guys care for each other. So here's to 50 years of marriage and the way that you guys loved each other and love this community.
Thank you so much, Chris. Well, I think that we have our nominations for people to put through. Please go to that link and submit a nomination, as these are for individuals to submit. There are actually 2 different types of nominations that you can submit. So if you like to submit multiple people or multiple projects or groups, you're able to do that as well. The link is in the chat, so please take a look at that. Gloria, you have your hand raised. Gloria.
Are we still at announcements?
Yes, I have one more thing, and then I have 2 more announcements.
Well, maybe Jimmy can chime in on Sunday, the 29th. There's a stewardship program with Catherine Cove, Echo Addendum. It's going to take place in South Bend Park, but it's just a wonderful time to just come out with a group of people. You get to see the park firsthand. We usually walk from the very front all the way up to Bromac. But it's also an opportunity to remove what is called invasive species. I mean, what's her name? Rebecca's not here tonight, and I've only gone once or twice, but it was really pretty cool. But I think Jimmy is going to head it. Jimmy, are you there? And can you tell them a little bit more about it?
Yes, so it's a ongoing stewardship program that we have here at our park in Lakewood, South Bend Park. So as Ms. Gloria said, it's been an ongoing stewardship to rid the park of invasive species in order to just make the park look a lot better. We've done a lot of work over the past, probably a little more than a year. So we've had several events in the past. We will have one on January 29th. I'll be kind of spearheading it in Rebecca's absence, and we will meet at the park on the 29th. I'll put a notification out. I was supposed to do it yesterday, but I'll put a notification out on Nextdoor. And if someone would like to put it out on Facebook for the 29th at 1 p.m. at South Bend Park. And we'll be out there maybe a couple hours or so if anyone wants to come and lend a hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Russell, you may have the floor for your announcement if you like.
My announcement was about Nellie. Same event.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so moving on to the next announcement is our ad hoc for special projects. So as I am the chair, we are not able to keep me on as ad hoc special project chairperson. So we will be nominating a new member. We did have a nomination that came forth for Alira Lofton. I would like to ask Alira if she would like to be nominated.
I mean, Nicole, I didn't mean to blindside her. I don't think we actually even gave her any indication.
Yeah, if I could get a little bit more information.
Absolutely. So our ad hoc for special projects is primarily to facilitate our community impact grant. And traditionally, this grant was facilitated through all of our individual neighborhoods. Our community impact grant now is facilitated through just the NPU, in which we then facilitate the grant through one person instead of through our individual neighborhoods where we send money out to for them to do as they need. So we will be after this asking for opinions and options on what we would like to push forth for our next grant. You will basically manage the application and the closeout, and then we can work together with other members of the community and with myself and other board members to facilitate the grant.
Sure, why not?
Amen.
Thank you. So I would like to motion to vote for Alira Lofton to be the chairperson for the ad hoc for special projects.
Second.
All right, I open the floor to a unanimous vote. So if you are opposed, please raise your hand. So let's drop our hands real quick. And if you are opposed, please raise your hand. All right, I have 0 opposed. So that is a unanimous consent. Thank you so much for stepping up, Alira. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I've always dreamed about this.
Don't worry, you will have all the assistance from us to facilitate this.
All right, thanks, y'all.
So with that, this year, our CIG grant is, our deadline is February 28th. Unfortunately, the city does not give us a lot of time between the closeout and all these transfers of board members to then facilitate a new ad hoc person and facilitate what the new grant will be. So we are opening the floor to ideas for what we would like as a community to submit for the grant. Now the grant traditionally has a limitation of 5,000. However, we were able to attend all of our NPU universities. So we will be receiving an additional $1,500. Now NPU-Y, I would like to say thanks to Troy. Last year, we were actually able to get additional funds that were not allocated for the NPU to have as a CIG. However, the city planning department was able to facilitate additional funds for us to do multiple projects. So if there is more than one project, we can always seek addition. So I will open the floor to anybody that would like to mention an idea or discuss options for this grant. Chris McCord, you have the floor.
I would love an opportunity to take a look at ways that we can celebrate our teachers in our zone. I feel like they are definitely the unsung heroes. And so whether that's a catered lunch or maybe some beautifying knickknacks as a gift or a homage to them, I think that I would love to put forward a project of that nature.
All right, thank you so much. Gloria, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think what we need to explain is that the projects have to fall in accordance with some kind of guidelines that come out of DCP, that all projects in times past have not been necessarily approved. It's, again, absolutely, I love what Chris just offered, but we have to couch it in such a way that DCP will approve it. I guess that's the ultimate statement.
Yeah, and my goal was to get input from what people wanted to see and to see how we could facilitate those into the boxes that the community would need to present the application within. So hopefully we can work within what the community wants to see to what the grant requirements are. Monique, you have the floor.
Hello. I love what Chris said. So just, yes, I also want to name that I talked to Yolanda before she passed, and she did discuss that there was a wellness space where Purpose Built Schools had created a partnership, and teachers were able to go to eRefresh to actually get one service done. And they created a partnership that way through Yolanda. All the ways that Yolanda just was freaking amazing. And so there was like super discounted services at eRefresh. Another way to just love on teachers. And they really enjoyed it and actually wanted more of that. So eRefresh is currently looking to, continue her legacy. So anywho, I just thought that was really interesting that Chris said that, and Yolanda had told me about this program, and we were going to try to work on something together. I didn't know she was battling what she was battling, but we were talking about this before the new year that we wanted to work on something for teachers. So I think that'd be really cool. I mean, I don't know, just something me and her were talking about. My idea, actually, not to cop off Chris, but that was an awesome idea, was I know we've talked about murals at some points and beautification efforts in that way. And we could get our young people involved in doing that kind of work. So I would love to have a commissioned artist. I know I talked to the one that Jeff uses. His name is Michael or something with a J. Man, anyway, I got his information on my phone. But the mural that Jeff created on his space was really cool. If we could find creative space to kind of notate our community as unique and individual. I don't know if you ever seen it, 04th Ward. One of their CIG projects created those have you ever seen the green box? And it looks like a electric box, and they're like all over Old Fourth Ward, but they hold like electrical stuff in them, and then they have beautiful murals on them. That's a CIG project. So that was Old Fourth Ward CIG project where they made these very ugly boxes look really beautiful. So just an idea, like if we have something unique like they do where they have ugly electrical boxes hanging around at MARTA stops, then we could beautify those things and maybe add some flair or something. So that was just an idea.
All right, thank you, Renee. Chris, I'll call on you in just one moment. We do have another option that was put forth, and this was actually put forth last year. It was called Unity Day. And this was an idea that Troy had came up with, which was to bring all of our communities together for some sort of united event, which would be more like a festival kind of event where we would have maybe local vendors from businesses within our community, have all of our leadership, have our families come out, having events for our young people to participate with other young people in their community because maybe they don't go to same schools. So that was an option as well. I have Chris McCord. You have the floor.
Just wanted to second it, Ms. Nunley's idea, and wondered if we could tweak it just a little bit, and maybe some of those boxes or designated areas have some history about NPU-Y. I read this really intricate article about Joyland this morning, and my goodness, had no idea that Joyland was an amusement park. Like there was a full off, like just like Six Flags amusement park in Joyland. And so I think some of that history that we have throughout our territory could be beneficial for the younger generation, because just like I didn't know, I bet you they don't know.
And thus the name Joyland.
Hey, can you put that reference in the chat, Chris?
I gotta find it, but yes, sir.
Because I definitely interested in that. I've got a lot of stuff about Lakewood and Chosen Park. I've done the history of Chosen Park.
Paul, for the sake of time, Joyland does have a new website, which we are trying to put up all their history as well. And I'm working with Ken over there. So hopefully we can get that history on their website for them as well. Are there any other suggestions to move forward with? Okay, so Alira, I will get with you and we will facilitate how to do an application and moving forward with this. Thank you so much for accepting the nomination.
Perfect, you're welcome.
All right, next up on our agenda is a presentation. This is for Duke Hill Properties. This is the renovation of 1688 Lakewood Avenue. They are asking for an Invest Atlanta letter of support for the community. I yield the floor over to you. I do ask, for the sake of time, that you keep within 3 minutes for your presentation to give time for the community to speak.
Sure thing. And thanks everyone for allowing me to come and present. And I'm very sorry, and my condolences to your whole community for the loss you recently suffered. But again, thanks for letting me come. I wanted to talk about 1688 Lakewood Avenue. There's a picture of it right there. It sits on the corner of Lakewood and Livermore today. I am renovating this property and changing it into, well, it's actually currently a multifamily property, but I will be giving it a much needed full gut renovation. And I'm coming before you all tonight to ask for support from the NPU, specifically for an Invest Atlanta housing opportunity bond financing loan that I'm looking to get. It is just for a small portion of the project. The project is moving forward, but this is additional financing that would be used to enhance the project that I'm already planning to do. So I'm hoping to get your support, because I would love to be able to bring a much an even better project to the neighborhood. So I want to give you guys a look at. Without the Invest Atlanta funding, I would be able to still deliver a very nice project for the neighborhood. As I mentioned before, planning on doing a full renovation, new electrical, drywall, roofing, all of those sorts of things, paint, and then repairs to the exterior with a security system as well. But I'm hoping to get these additional funds to bring something more comprehensive to the neighborhood. So this is just a rendering of what it would look like if we were able to get that additional funding. It would go towards upgraded materials for the exterior. As well. Hopefully you guys could hear me over that noise. But you know, again, we are looking to upgrade. That's just a rendering of that. So I'm just going to show you guys here. So with the additional funding through Invest Atlanta, instead of just having that plain facade, we would be able to have landscaping. We would be able to have larger windows, which would have a much better curb appeal. But I think something that's very important is that there would be enhanced security. So instead of just a basic security system, I would plan on getting what's commonly known as a blue light camera, and of course having that system integrated. But, you know, aside from just the camera, you know, I want to have a sophisticated security system going around the entire building with additional fencing. And one other thing I wanted to note, the community has been great about talking to me, taking my phone calls and letting me crash their community meetings every month for the last few months. And one thing I heard loud and clear is that the community is interested in having whether it's restaurant or grocery space in that area. And so part of my purchase includes a vacant parcel. And so with the additional funding, if I'm able to do that, that will put me in a better position to develop that vacant lot and do something, maybe at, you know, a small market or a restaurant or something along those lines. So you will see that on the bottom picture there. Of what that rendering would look like. I actually already have plans that have been drawn up by our architect. And so let's see, I think that's about it. Hopefully I didn't go by that too quickly, but I'm happy to answer any questions. But just in sum, again, you know, my ask is support for the additional funding so that I can bring, you know, a better looking and safer project to the neighborhood. Let's see.
Thank you. Sorry, I was muted during the
Okay,
video.
I was going to say,
My apologies. I would like to go to, I believe this is in Lakewood Heights. If I can have a representative from Lakewood Heights, let us know what the consensus from the neighborhood was.
Yep, I've got the meeting minutes pulled up from our previous meeting. So in our last meeting, the motion for letter of support was made. It was ultimately denied with a vote of approved for 7, denial of 12, and abstentions of 3.
Thank you. I will open the floor for further discussion. Chris McCord.
How big is the project and what is the final number that you're hunting from Invest Atlanta?
Sure. So the number of units, is that what you're asking about? Or the
and other amenities. I mean, you know, and other amenities on the property.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So there would be a total of 22 micro units, or studio apartments is, I guess, the more traditional term for it. In terms of the amount of funding requested from Invest Atlanta is $400,000. So again, it's just a small portion of the overall project. And then in terms of amenities, this just shows you a little bit around the interior selections. There will be a courtyard that I would be able to use some of that money for the residents of the facility. And I also want to have some secure fencing to go around it just to help to mitigate, you know, any passerbys coming onto the property. So those are just some of the things. And then on the inside of the building, there will be an office in the front that will be staffed full time. And there will be a small computer lab for the residents as well. And there will be laundry facilities for them as well.
Thank you. Heather, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks again, Corey, for speaking tonight. One of the things that strikes me about the, money from Invest Atlanta and the proposed sort of renderings is how modern they are. And I wanted to understand from your side if we could look into more historic things that would sort of build on the historic community and assignment we do have within the neighborhood versus adding in something that's extremely modern. Is that something your team would be open to discussing if given this grant?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely open to that. I work with a great designer who's actually done a few properties in Lakewood Heights, and we're definitely open to that. And really, this is leaning more modern than what I've done in the past. I've done historic properties. One of my properties was actually noted a landmark by our last mayor just a couple of years ago. So I'm very familiar with historical, done things in Adair Park as well. So yeah, definitely would be open to that.
Great, Corey. Which, if you don't mind me asking, which developers have you been working with in the Lakewood Heights community?
So the designer that I work with, his name is Dana Terrell of Dana T Designs, and the developer that I'm working with is Centurion Home Improvements.
Do you have addresses for those, just for my knowledge?
Their addresses? Sure. I can send them to you.
That'd be great. Thank you. If you could just put it in the chat, that'd be helpful.
Okay, I have to get them and then send them to you. I don't know them off the top of my head, but yeah, happy to.
Thank you. If you can email them either directly to Lakewood or to the secretary npuy@gmail.com email, that would be great.
Sure.
I open the floor to Jacob Mills.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So my question is, I guess I have a few, but I'll kind of keep it real simple.
Sure.
What is, if you could go back to the site plan, I know this location. I'm pretty familiar with this location. And are these units, are these at AMI at market rate, or can you explain the, what you said they're all 1 bedrooms? Units?
They're actually studios, so they're studio efficiency. So let me see if I can zoom in. Let's see. I don't know how visible that is, but I did send it over to I think Gloria and Zach, and I'm happy to email it directly to you, Jacob. But in terms of the income levels, so it is affordable housing. And so the requirement for the Invest Atlanta grant is that at least 1/3 of the units be set aside for affordable housing. And so Invest Atlanta, that affordable housing means 80% AMI. But one of the grants that we are working with, their requirement is, I believe, 30% AMI. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar. We have the same issue in our neighborhood as far as, where developers are asking for Invest Atlanta. And so, we are very familiar with the request that they have for market rate AMI. So 30% was kind of what I was, that was really what I wanted to not necessarily hear you say, but that was the question, one of them. The other one was, what were because I believe Heather had mentioned that the vote was, the motion was not to carry or not to approve. What were the objections from the neighborhood?
Sure. I think there was just a general objection for affordable housing period right now. And which, I do understand. You guys mentioned the old 4th Ward before. I'm a resident, have been a resident here for a very long time, since 2007. And so I've kind of been, this isn't my first rodeo, having been on the other end of things, but what I wanted to hopefully communicate to the neighborhood that night was that, this is a development that is moving forward. It's really to make something better for the neighborhood. And, either way, I will deliver a very nice project. But I want to be able to, make it more secure and, have it something that is, a prize of the neighborhood as opposed to, oh, that's nice. And another thing I wanted to mention, coming from the Old Fourth Ward, I brought just a couple of examples of affordable housing in our neighborhood. So, we've got, I believe, 722 units. This is literally in a half of a mile from where I live. And so, we had the existing developers come in and redo the affordable housing. And when it's planned well and done well, and, when the community is a part of it, the product, is so different than what you would, be used to or think of when you look at affordable housing. And so these are just examples, and these are on my block. So, I don't live out in the suburbs. I live in town. I've lived it, got bullet holes in the car to prove it. Okay. So literally, but, since these new developments have come, when you drive down Boulevard, you would not be able to pick out the difference between the affordable housing and the market rate housing. You literally wouldn't know. So just wanted to show an example of when done well, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience, it can be a very nice addition to the neighborhood.
Yeah, and from personal experience on my side as well, I understand funding and financing when it comes to developments, and how that plays a part in what you can actually accomplish for exterior facades, interior scapes, and things like that. So, but the recommendation from the neighborhood was to not approve. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah. My main question for that was it just as far as Invest Atlanta goes. I know that this is, it makes it difficult because as a developer, you are always seeking, funds to be able to facilitate these projects and deliver a quality product. But having Invest Atlanta be able to give money to projects that the neighborhoods don't necessarily approve is something that I see personally in my neighborhood, and I would like to kind of follow, the same sentiment. If Lakewood's not willing to support it, then I would follow suit. So that was it. Those are my comments. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jacob. We do have only 9 minutes, so hopefully we can get through this quickly. I give the floor to Troy Nunley.
I had a couple of questions. Is there a timeline on the application? Like, is there an application deadline for this?
Yes, there is. So I actually started my application with them several months ago. And so there will be a final decision on that at the end of the month. I'm closing on the property in just a few weeks. So, as I mentioned before, we're still going to move forward with the project. It's really just a matter of, is it going to be kind of the basics, which will still be nice, or will we be able to have those enhancements with the facade, the security, and those sorts of things.
So you must have a vote today. You won't be open to a deferral to try to hash it out with Lakewood Heights?
Unfortunately not. And again, I know that there was a lot going on. So maybe hearing this another time, tonight, maybe they may have different feelings about it. Hopefully so, because again, it's really my desire to bring something, of this level of quality to the neighborhood versus something that will be nice again, but just not as nice.
So are you open to a deferral for next month, and we just ask Invest Atlanta to extend the application?
I would have to look into that. I appreciate that, but I would have to look into it because as I understand it, with the grants and all the other financing, the sellers, like I'm closing on this, and as I understand, the financing for this happens at closing. So
okay. And one thing to note, if we vote to reject, we still have to send a letter to reject. I noticed that in a few months back. So if there is a rejection, we have to send a letter of rejection to to the Invest Atlanta. Just a note.
Any other questions, Troy?
Nope, thank you.
All right, thank you. Gloria, you have the floor.
Yes, thanks, Corey. Sounds like you work very hard, but I'll resound exactly what Troy and Jacob have just said. The majority vote in Lakewood was rooted in a couple really distinct voices of people who live in the back of that location. And I think it was around the nature of the, wasn't just affordability, it's the question of what is downtown Lakewood, what should it look like? And I think concurrent with your offering or your development were two other developments that spoke to what some perceived as transitional housing, where they felt like the communities would be better served, where there was a marketplace of businesses, where and that it would not be centered in what we have as a pretty a community that is overcoming drug addictions. We just heard earlier about the Chevron. So I think I'm just trying to give our group at large what the compelling feeling was, that it is absolutely a need, but that location was probably the thing that folks felt that was not supportive. It just would not even, not the community, but support the folks who would actually reside there.
Thanks for your feedback, Gloria. And just to make sure that folks are clear, and it's possible, I guess, my first meetings, I wasn't clear enough. We are moving forward with the project, and that will be the use for the project. So, I don't know if there was maybe any, maybe I didn't communicate that clearly enough, but that this will be the use for the project. It's really a matter of, what level of facade and security we will be able to have with the project, because from a zoning standpoint, and even from a financing standpoint, we're able to do it. It's just, the additional funds would certainly make a difference.
Thank you. Kelly Petty, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Just to piggyback off of what Gloria said, Corey, like we were saying, some of the issues that we had as a community is just that area over there has dealt with a lot of crime and criminal activity. And it's something that we want to try to get out as much as we can, and want to make sure that the right types of development are coming in that will, build up the community and not cause more criminal activity or could trigger it because of the type of people that may be living in there. So number one, and then also we want, to make sure that the type of development that's coming in is going to enhance the community from an economic standpoint. One of the things that, many of us have said is we want grocery stores, we want certain businesses. So just two questions for you. Number one, I heard you say, it sounds like you are going to consider the potential for some sort of grocery store, or kind of a smaller grocery store. You could possibly look at that as you build out the phases. Absolutely. Can you confirm that? Thank you. And then number two, can you just explain, in addition to the income, are there other factors that are going to be looked at? Are there other factors that are considered for a person to come into that space? And I think people were a little nervous when you say a certain AMI, just wanting to make sure that are there other factors that are going to be looked at a person's application to make sure they're the right fit for that space and being a part of our community?
No, absolutely, absolutely. So, and I don't think I have it on this slide, but I think I might have sent it along. No, I don't have it on here. So a couple of notes for you all. One, this is not transitional housing. So transitional housing, or commonly known as like a halfway house. So while that is something that is needed, it's just not the business that I'm in or familiar with. But transitional housing would be if someone is homeless, unhoused, they're picking them up straight off of the street, kind of housing them somewhere. They stay there for a month or 3 months or 4 months until they are back out on the streets or what have you. This is, these are traditional 12-month leases. They have to go through a screening process. They cannot be, on the convicted sex offenders list. They cannot have been convicted of, manufacturing and distributing drugs. If they have, any sort of history with landlords with drugs or alcohol, they would not be approved. And if for any reason they were to move in and pose any problem, one, we have staff, there's office staff on site full time, but two, their lease would be terminated immediately, and that's for drugs and alcohol. And causing, any sorts of problems in that way. So yeah, it's not a free for all. It's again not transitional housing. And I'll just say again, personally, I live in the Old Fourth Ward, and those buildings that I showed you that are literally within a half a mile of me, with a new development with staff on site. I mean, again, you would never even know it was affordable housing because it is managed well. But yes, and I've got to, there's a whole tenant selection process. It's a whole thing, but those things are not tolerated.
All right, so I do have a few questions in the chat. In addition to, do you have a site plan that you're able to show, not just a floor plan?
Yeah, so site plan, like the actual site survey plan. Yes. Yes.
Also, so what is the property zoned at? Do you need to get a rezoning or an SAP to move forward?
No, it is NRC3. It's good to go as is.
Was this part of the rezoning, like a mass rezoning? Because that on the Fulton County Board of Assessors, it's saying it's as commercial to C2 or a C3.
Heather, can I answer that question? It was rezoning 20.
Okay. Yeah, she has it as a C3 or C3. We also would like to see a site map to show parking. Is there any sort of consideration for parking for these residents to be able to get a vehicle and be able to drive to and from work, as you do not have a lot of transportation options?
Yes, so I'll send over the site plan. It really depends on whether or not we're able to do the second phase, because a lot of the parking would go behind that as well. I will say with the residents, some of them will be older. We also have a partnership with a staffing company that actually provides transportation for its employees. So a lot of them will not have cars, but there will be some parking on site. But I'm happy to send along what I have.
Right, and just to clarify, so you are not closed on this property, and you're not closing until the end of January. Being that Invest Atlanta seems to be part of your funding to close, it seems though that it's not necessarily funding for the improvements, but it's actually funding to close on the property. Is that correct?
No, it's not funding to close on the property, as I understand it. And I haven't done this housing opportunity bond before, so I will say that piece of it is new territory for me. I do know that I don't have to have that to close, so the project can move forward as is in that initial plan that I showed you. But as far as that financing coming later, as I understand it, it's supposed to happen when you close. So I could be wrong there. And if someone with more experience there can correct me if I'm wrong, that's fine. But that's how I understand it.
Okay, because as Troy Nunley did speak on, we are able to ask Invest Atlanta to defer, which would give time for the community of Lakewood Heights and the general body of NPU-Y to have a further discussion and to just kind of come to a conclusion of what they would like to see with that neighborhood. I will open the floor for one more question, Jacob, and then I'll ask for a motion. Jacob Mills, you have the floor.
Yeah, this just seems like a very precarious situation. I see this a lot in the neighborhood here. And the intended use, even as zoned as MR1, C1C with conditions, you would think that with that location, you would put or would want to have commercial in your initial phase one. It would also help with your AMI. It would also help with the neighborhood's AMI. And I do hear this quite often with the developers where we're going to move forward with the project that we see fit. This isn't a knock on you, but most developers don't live in the neighborhood where they're developing. And this is a development where that's the same circumstance. And if the neighborhood is asking for certain things, you're asking the neighborhood to help you invest in a better facade for a development that the neighborhood doesn't want to see. So that just seems to me like a very precarious situation to put us in.
Well, listen, I understand, and I'll very directly tell you that, a residential project versus a commercial project. I mean, the cost is very, very different, especially if I'm looking at developing something that could be used potentially as a small grocer or market. And so just from a dollars and cents standpoint,
But Corey, that seems to be the same thing that we hear a lot is the developer should be wanting to invest properly into the neighborhood as far as a long-term goes. And using the property for the intended use is what's best for the neighborhood. Using conditions to circumnavigate around which way the property should go, and even hearing the discussion just tonight. I mean, I haven't seen this come up as much as I would like. I'm definitely going to dive more into this one. But it's something that we continue to deal with on the south side of Atlanta here with these types of developments, where it seems to be in the favor of the developer and not in the favor of the neighborhood. And I'll leave it at that. That's me. That was my comment.
And yeah, and I hear, all I can say is that I hear you. I'm in those shoes. I've definitely been in those shoes, but seeing the other side of it from just the realities of investment, financing, banks, and things like that. To get the level of investment for the type of development that I know will, of course, be in Lakewood Heights very soon. There is a lot of development that needs to happen, and it's helpful to have these other things, come first. So I'll leave it at that. Definitely, of course, respect everyone's opinion, and I do understand, but again, just in closing, my desire is to bring something better to the neighborhood than I would be able to without the funding. And that's what it boils down to.
All right, thank you, Corey. I will open the floor to a motion.
Motion to uphold the opinion of the neighborhood.
Second.
So can you clarify the motion for the city planner, please?
Sorry, stuck on mute. Motion to agree with the neighborhood's decision to deny.
Second.
Thank you. So we will do our raised hands again. So if you are, the motion on the floor is to deny the application, which is upholding the Lakewood Heights motion. So raise your hand for a denial. I will give 10 more seconds. And the vote is closed. We have 16 no's. Are there any in the chat? Nope. So 16 no's. And if you are voting to approve the application,
I saw 15. Is that correct? 16 no's.
I saw 16 before I closed it.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
saw 16 as well.
I did too, yeah.
Thank you. So This vote is to approve the application. We'll close the vote in 5 seconds. Vote is closed. There are 2. And to abstain. Please raise your hand to abstain. Close the vote in 5 seconds. Vote closes. 3 abstentions. So this is a 16. This is a motion to deny. So 16 yes, 2 no, and 3 abstentions. So this motion carries to deny the letter of support to Invest Atlanta. Thank you for your presentation, Corey. I believe that the community just needed to work with you guys a little more. So if you are able to come back to the community of Lakewood Heights, please do and discuss further with them.
Okay, thanks everyone for your time.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
All right, so that concludes our agenda. I know we're a little over time, but we had a lot on there today. So I'm going to hand it over to Anna Johnson for a planner's report.
Hey everyone, this should be pretty quick. I just have an announcement about an upcoming NPU University course. The NPU University offers free courses in community leadership, planning, and civic participation. This month, zoning fundamentals will be Tuesday, January 31st at 6 p.m. And I'll put the link to register in the chat. And then tonight was the Atlanta 2.0, the zoning rewrite. They had a meeting tonight. It was both in person and online, and I know that they have some of the project or presentation materials from tonight already posted on their website. So if you check back soon, I think that they're going to post a recording of that since we had a conflict tonight. And again, I will post this information in the chat.
Sorry, my computer was locked, so I was not hearing the end of that.
Hey, Nicole, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry, my internet went out for a moment. Anna, are you completed with your planner's report?
Yes, I did complete it.
Okay, thank you. I was unable to hear the rest of it, so I apologize for that.
I can repeat any parts of it. And I did put the link in the chat with the updates.
I believe Heather got all of it, so I think we're good to go. Thank you so much, Anna. We appreciate you being here. I do have a hand raised before we adjourn. Jacob Mills.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's a tough vote to ask the neighborhood for 1688 to vote to improve something that, of course, you want better street frontage and you would like to see a better development, but have a developer say, this is what we're gonna build, we haven't closed on the property. That's tough. And I feel like the right thing to do is vote yes, but I mean, I voted no. Just in the sense that hopefully the Invest Atlanta will listen to the neighborhood as far as what we would like to see in the future. And Anna's report is very important for the Atlanta 2.0. I feel like this is the direction the city is going to continue to go, with having more density and allowing these types of developments, whether or not a neighborhood approves it or doesn't approve it. So that, I just want to say that that's a tough vote, and I would hope to see more people show up at our zoning committee meetings and have these discussions. I would love to hear some other perspectives and maybe some other ideas and alternatives on to come up with a few solutions on how we can deal with these types of issues.
Thank you. I see Gloria's hand raised before we adjourn.
Yes, thanks again, Nicole. To that end, I think Andy Schneggenberger is also present on the 21st, which I think is this coming Saturday. Maybe I'm wrong, but St. Vincent de Paul will be conducting shreds there at the location. This location is directly adjacent to 1688, where Corey proposed project. And I think I'm inviting, I know I'd spoken to folks in South Atlanta, Devon, and others because of the proximity. They would also like to be present and kind of get firsthand what the proposals are at that location. Andy is here, he might be able to. So that's actually kind of an announcement, but that takes place, I believe, this Saturday. I don't know where I am in my day. Yeah, it's the 21st. Is that correct, Andy? I can't figure out where I am with all these holidays in January.
Yeah, that's right, Gloria. Thank you. What we're trying to do over the next couple of months is have a series of community design engagements with Lakewood Heights neighbors and other, interested stakeholders. St. Vincent de Paul does own, I think, 4 separate parcels that are all aggregate, right? Where the old SunTrust Bank building is and the parking lot behind it. They would like to redevelop that property. And in the interests of, partnering with the community as much as possible and finding ways in which that development can be responsive to community vision and community needs. We're, holding a series of these engagements where we'll go through a sort of a step-by-step process to hopefully gradually work towards some consensus around a concept and a vision for the redevelopment of the property. Again, the zoning is the same as the property that was talked about this evening. It's MRC1 with conditions. Those conditions are, I believe, to align with the LCI master plan that was adopted back 15 years ago, I think. But yes, Saturday the 21st, we were hoping to be able to do it in the old SunTrust Bank building, but the freeze caused some infrastructure problems in the building and nobody wants to be in there right now. So we are doing it at the Burdine Center at 11 o'clock this coming Saturday. And we will have some refreshments, so we'll hear voices instead of just grumbling tummies, hopefully.
Thank you, Andy. Please make sure that you send that information over to us so we can post it on our Facebook and on our website. That way it's not at the end of the meeting when a lot of people have already logged off. So if you can please send it to secretaryNPUY@gmail.com, I would greatly appreciate that. All right, last hand, and then we're going to Shanine, hopefully. Kelly Petty.
Yeah, just to speak on that Saturday's meeting, I'm putting in the chat a link to St. Vincent de Paul's website. If you click on it, they have a video of their new space in Chamblee, which is their other location. And I'm going to actually try to see if I can go drive up there and take a look. But that was really helpful for me to kind of see what they can do, because that building looks beautiful and it was in a older building. If you look at the Google Maps, Google Street View, you can see what it used to look like and then see what it could look like. So they have some really nice facilities. So that's kind of helpful to me going into Saturday's meeting, but hope to see everybody there.
Thank you. Gloria?
Yeah, last one. And Kelly's right. Travis produced, I think he's a courier in some of that location, and they have a fairly new location, I believe, on Chamblee Tucker, somewhere in Chamblee. But likewise, there's an additional announcement, Nicole, on Thursday, this coming Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. Lakewood will be conducting, I think, its 3rd visioning sensing session. It's open to Lakewood, but I'm sure we wouldn't mind adjacent communities that feel like they want to chime in and hear what we have planned for, at a minimum, the downtown Lakewood area. But again, that's 7 o'clock on Thursday, the 17th, 19th. Where are we now? God, I'm all, but it's this Thursday at 7 o'clock at the John Burdine Center, the same place that this sensing session for St. Vincent de Paul will take place.
We talked about that was going to be hybrid, correct?
Hey, can I speak on that real quick, just so that we can get the most updated? So there had been a request from members of the executive board that we presented a panel of people to vote on for who would be moderating that session. Due to deaths in some of people's immediate families, there's a delay in all of that. So as a result, we're looking to push into probably next week or the week after. So we will get that communication out later this evening or tomorrow, but just as a heads up, that is going to be delayed as a result of some personal issues.
It's been canceled. Okay.
Thank you. And I think we'll work out the hybrid topic then. I'm going to go
Oh,
ahead.
it will be hybrid.
Yes.
Commitment to that, yes.
Yeah, I will go ahead and motion to adjourn.
Second.
Anybody opposed, please raise your hand as a unanimous consent. All right, so I see none. So we are adjourned as of 9:19. I apologize for going over. If anybody does want to stay and discuss any of the topics at hand, you are more than welcome to. This is just for a discussion with your local community members, for no vote, for no decision-making, just to keep a communication open between members within the neighborhood. Thank you all for joining.
Nicole, can we ask Andy if you can stay around? I'd love to hear more, a preview of the Shrets on 21st.
Sure.